Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Julia Arndt, and I'm a peak performance coach and stress management trainer. And today I want to dive with you into the question, how can you sustain your performance? Maybe a question that you have been asking yourself over a longer period of time, because let's be honest, it is not easy to always perform on a high level. We have good days, we have bad days, which is totally okay in the first place, and it's important for me to mention. But there are some really powerful ways in order to really sustain your performance and to make sure that you are never burning out, something that a lot of people are experiencing nowadays. So I really want to help you as a peak performance coach understand a model that I have created in order to be successful on a consistent basis and in order to make sure that you're living the life that you always wanted. So let's dive into today's video on how to sustain your performance. No matter if you are working for a company or you are self-employed, if you want to be successful, you might ask yourself, how can I always be at this high level? And you have probably all experienced this before, right? Sometimes we are just in the flow. Sometimes we have a really good couple of days where we just feel like we could just work forever. We're getting a lot of things done and we're feeling really accomplished. But there's also the other side of the coin, right? Sometimes it is really hard to focus. Sometimes it is hard to perform. Sometimes we feel low energy, unmotivated, maybe even frustrated. So the question is, how can you sustain your performance, right? Maybe you have landed your dream job in your dream company and you have worked incredibly hard to get there. But when you're working for a really great company, then oftentimes this company also expects you to perform and to deliver good results on a very regular basis. And sometimes companies even have performance evaluations and regular conversations in place in order to check in with you on your performance, but also to give you feedback on how you have been performing. And that can be a super stressful conversation. The reason why I'm talking about peak performance and the reason why I am so passionate about this subject is because I do truly believe that we have all learned to push our boundaries, to push our energy levels, and to work incredibly hard for the goals that we have. And usually my peak performers are also very successful people. They have landed amazing jobs. They have been really successful with building their own company. They have everything that they want in life. They have a house, they have a car, they have the life that they have always dreamed of. Maybe you are traveling a lot. Whatever it is, you probably have it. But sometimes you ask yourself, okay, so what's next? How am I going to be able to always perform consistently on this level? And how am I going to continue to perform on this level, even on higher levels when you are working for a company and you're looking for a promotion? So this is a really important topic that I want to dive into with you today, because I am the creator of the Peak Performance Method. And today I want to dive with you into what I do believe is necessary in order to sustain your performance. And the Peak Performance Method is exactly the model that I created because of exactly that reason, because I asked myself the question, what do I need to do in order to sustain performance? What do people need to do? What do you need to do in order to sustain your peak performance levels? So the Peak Performance Method is a three-dimensional model that focuses on mindfulness, productivity, and leadership tools, because I truly believe that all of those are necessary in order to help you sustain your performance. And if you have been listening to my podcast or if you have been watching my YouTube videos, you know that it is really dear to my heart that you are starting to build peak performance tools right now, preventively, no matter where you are in your job right now, no matter where you are in your life right now. Because I know from experience that if you are starting to build peak performance tools when you are going towards burnout, then it is really, really hard to integrate all of these things in your life. And you should be thinking about these things proactively, preventively, in order to build the life that you want. But no matter where you are in your life, of course, you can always learn more, build tools in order to help you thrive in your life and in your job. And so let's dive into the first dimension of the peak performance method. The first dimension of the peak performance method is also called root or understanding yourself, because I believe that it is really important that you understand yourself and that you understand what it is important to you. And that comes to the first thing that I'm teaching in the peak performance method in dimension number 1, which is values. Because sometimes when we are in very competitive environments, no matter if we are in school or at work, or maybe even as an entrepreneur in a very competitive marketplace, we can sometimes lose track of our values. What are values? Well, values are things that we really connect with, that are really important to us in our life. Like, for example, one of your values could be family life, or one of your values could be adventure. One of your values could be punctuality. It's basically the things that are really important to your life and that you really connect with. That is something that is almost your intrinsic motivation to keep on going. That explains who you are and where you want to go in your life. Okay, so really important understanding your values. That is the first thing that I'm teaching in the peak performance method. The second part of the first dimension is self-care, and the third one is routines. And they go kind of hand in hand, because when we are extremely busy, when we are working our butts off, sometimes it is really hard to take care of ourselves, / it is really easy to kind of drop that time, our own self-care time first, because we think that that's the easiest thing to cancel off or to postpone from our calendars. But honestly, it is the biggest mistake that I see people make when they're trying to build performance, when they want to be peak performers. So something that you should know and something that you should integrate into your life on a day-to-day basis. Because just as you are charging your phone on a day-to-day basis, you also need to charge yourself. So self-care and routines go hand in hand, and in order to make sure to understand why is it important to practice self-care, and then how do I start integrating these with routines and with, of course, new habits that you have to build around them. So that is the first dimension, and that really teaches you mindfulness and stress management tools as well. Because when we are working in competitive environments, sometimes we are very focused on the future or on past events, but we are not really in the present moment, because we are always trying to get to that next step, to get to that next level, to always be unhappy with what we have, to always criticize and be frustrated about where we are right now, because we are always looking ahead. And so understanding yourself is also understanding the power of mindfulness. So the second dimension is also called Rise, and it really focuses on how to improve your productivity. Because let's be honest, productivity tools are tools that we haven't really learned in our life. We have learned to just pile more and more things onto our to-do list, to pile more and more things onto our calendars, but we haven't really learned how to manage it. We haven't really learned how to say no, how to create boundaries. So the second dimension, the Rise dimension, really goes into those kind of topics. Time management, creating a powerful schedule, being really clear on your daily priorities. Something that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, and that has tremendously changed the way how I feel at the end of the day. But also things like setting boundaries, saying no, communicating with people, using vulnerability in the workplace. Those are all really important things that we haven't really learned, but we need to learn them, because if you want to sustain your performance, you need to manage all of these different items. And the way of how I put together the peak performance method is by listening to my clients, by working with over 2,500 people over the last 18 months alone, and really listening to what their problems are. And time management is a huge huge problem. I am sometimes working with executives and we are literally going onto their calendars in order to see how they are managing their time, and it is pretty awful. So we really go into these different tools on how can I better manage my time? How do I set boundaries? How do I say no to people? How do I prioritize? And how do I make sure that I'm getting the things done that are important for me and not just for other people? So that is the second dimension rise, improving your productivity. And that obviously goes into productivity tools and making sure that you are managing your time, your schedule, and your calendar very wisely. And then finally, the thing that I also believe is really, really important to understand and to dive a little bit deeper into is ourselves. So we have already started that process in dimension number 1. But it doesn't stop there. Of course, it is important to understand how to practice self-care, why it is important to manage your stress levels, how to create routines and habits. But it is also really important and really interesting to dive deeper into our limiting beliefs, into our mindset, and into our emotional intelligence. Because emotional intelligence at the end of the day is bringing everything together. It's not just about self-awareness and self-management, but also being able to manage and understand other people, no matter if you are a leader or not. Because at the end of the day, what are we doing when we are working? No matter if we're self-employed or if we're working in a company, we're working with other people. So it is important that we are developing our emotional intelligence skills as well and our leadership skills. And so this is what the third dimension, Conquer, is about. We're diving really deep into your limiting beliefs, into your mindset. What are limiting beliefs? What kind of different mindsets are out there? And how can I shift from one mindset to another mindset in order to help myself get out of negative thought patterns when they come up? So those are all different tools, right? And it would take me hours to go into each and every single one of them. And that is the reason why I started the podcast and my YouTube channel, because all of the different tools that I'm teaching are part of the peak performance method. All of the tools that I'm teaching are there to help you to sustain your peak performance. But today I really wanted to give you an overview of what it means to be successful. What kind of different items do you need to think about? So just to summarize it again and to make sure that you are really clear on what you need to do in order to sustain your performance is to understand yourself, learn peak performance tools to thrive at work, so specific productivity tools. And then finally, it is really important to understand yourself, limiting beliefs, practicing forgiveness is part of that as well, understanding your mindset and understanding how flexible you actually are once you create more awareness around what is currently going on right up here in your head. And of course, emotional intelligence. So 3 different parts that you should be thinking about on a day-to-day basis. And those are things that I am thinking about on a day-to-day basis in order to be productive and in order to live the life that I want. So if you're listening to this podcast right now, or if you're watching this video and you say, yes, I am ready to actually build these peak performance tools. I am ready to learn. I am ready to dive into this because I want to be a peak performer. I want to live a happy life. I want to be successful on a consistent basis, and I don't want to experience burnout. I don't want to experience any physical issues because I know that it is important to take care of myself. Then I have a special invitation for you today because I created the Academy of Peak Performers in order to help you learn all of these different tools. The Academy of Peak Performers is a monthly membership community that you can join in order to get monthly and weekly coaching input from me as your peak performance coach. So what we are doing in the Academy of Peak Performers is that every month we are focusing on one topic, because I do believe that it is extremely important that we are spending a little bit of time on one topic. We can learn so many different things, but the biggest problems that we often make is that we are not getting into action. And that is really the goal of the Academy of Peak Performers. I want you to start to get into action, and the group and I really help you to commit to goals and then stay accountable to what you have said that you are going to test out and try out into your day-to-day. So if you are interested to join the Academy of Peak Performers, we are officially launching on July 22nd, 2020. I am super excited about this. So if you want to join the Academy of Peak Performers, you can head over to my website and find all of the information and all of the different questions that you might have about this community. I am super excited. I have already pre-launched with my group coaching group that I have started working with in April 2020. So we have already a couple of folks in there. And what is really important for me is to keep those groups small. So there's actually a limit of 50 people that I am taking on per group in order to make sure that every week I can give you coaching input and I can give you personalized coaching input, that I can see how much progress you have been making and also discuss with you your challenges and help you move forward. So it is really a cool way to help you, give you high value coaching input in a really powerful setting. So if you are interested to join the Academy of Peak Performers, make sure that you check out the link in the show notes. And if you want to learn more about how to sustain your peak performance, of course, you can also head over to my YouTube channel, or you can listen to more podcast episodes in order to learn more about all of these different small items that I have talked about before in order to help you create those peak performance levels. So I hope that you found this episode helpful. I hope that it gave you a little bit of structure of how you should be thinking about your peak performance and how to sustain your performance levels, because I know that that's not easy. I know that sometimes we have amazing times and sometimes we are maybe falling even into a hole and we are having all these negative thoughts and we're feeling burnt out, and it is for a reason, but you can change it. You have the power to really influence how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis when you're following the peak performance method. And I'm really excited as well because we have officially completed the research study on the 10-week program of the peak performance method. And I'm going to share some data and some insights really soon on how much influence, how much power it has when you're starting to integrate all of these different tools into your day-to-day life. So thank you so much for being here today, and if you have any questions, you can always leave them either below this YouTube video down below here, or you can send me an email. You can find all of the contact details in the show notes. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and I hope that I see you really soon here again. With gratitude, Julia.